Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Faith and Finance podcast for young adults with Ryan and Andy. Andy, you doing all right today?
Doing great. Excited to be with you, and really excited for today.
Tell us what we're talking about.
Budgeting, especially the nuts and bolts. How do you do this?
You cannot be excited about budgeting. That is not a thing, is it?
Actually, that's a really good point. No, it's not. Sometimes it's not that awesome, but when you look at it from the perspective that we're looking at it, then it makes it more exciting. Because anytime you do anything where you start to be in control, it's more exciting, right? As soon as I start to eat healthier, I feel better. You just, it's like the Spirit fills you a little bit more.
Yes. I'm excited too. I just joked around because a lot of people will hear the word budget and it's the opposite effect.
Yeah.
They feel depressed. They feel like there's nothing they can do about it and it's really hard. But I'm in agreement. Budgeting it's liberating. I think you've called it before a spending plan.
Yeah.
And that is totally how we view it. It's freedom to use our money in a planned and organized way. So what do we want? You said the nuts and bolts. What does that entail today?
Well, I think too, even before we get at that, if we look at some of the principles, and looking at a budget, like you said, as a conscientious spending plan, I am choosing. So I'm using my agency to choose where my money's going to go rather than being an object acted upon. My money telling me where to go, right? So just the fact of that alone changes the perspective of why we budget.
Right. I love using that scripture, to be agents unto ourselves, to act and not be acted upon. And a lot of people feel like there's no, how do I put this? That there's no way they can have any freedom because their money is just, I owe money here, I owe money there, I have to pay this bill, I have to pay that bill. But if we'll look at it differently and treat it differently, then that ability to act will be ours and we'll feel free. So what else do we start with here?
Well, I think too, we're going to look today at how actually to do a monthly budget based off fixed expenses. And then what if I have some irregular expenses? Okay. So we're going to dive into the nuts and bolts of those and walk through a hypothetical situation so that if I'm a young adult, whether I'm going to college or whatever, here's an example of what you could do. There's lots of different ways to get where you want to go, but we'll walk through some examples. But I think before we jump into those nuts and bolts, let's look at some of the scriptures.
I've got one. Can I share one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the word budget is in the scriptures. I could be wrong, but there are definitely principles of budgeting in the scriptures that we can use. And I want to start with the one in Luke in the New Testament, Luke chapter 14. And this is just it's not very long here. Give me just a second to pull that up.
You said Luke 14?
Luke 14. I'm going to look at verses 28 and 29. And the Savior is speaking here, and he's teaching some interesting principles. He says, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest, haply, after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, this man," this is verse 30, saying, "This man began to build and was not able to finish." I mean, again, it doesn't use the word budget in those verses, but it's all about the preparation of how much money you have to spend and calculating that cost and seeing a project from beginning to end. And if we take this little parable, so to speak, and apply it to our monthly budget, we can count the cost and say, okay, am I going to have enough money to get me from the beginning of the month to the end of the month? And so the budgeting principle is clearly right there laid out in those verses.
Love that. That's a great verse. Can I share one?
Yes, please.
That I think is sometimes hard to discern, but this is section 51, verse 3. So this is Edward Partridge, and I'm just going to read the last part of that, where he says, "Every man, appoint unto this people their portion, every man equal according to his family, according to his circumstances and his wants and needs." I think as we sit down and do a budget, trying to identify what is a need and what is a want is a critical part of a person's budgeting experience, because it may be a little bit different. Even though in this scripture here, he's talking about every man equal, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fair to everybody if you look at it that way. So I can't compare myself to my neighbor or something like that. Right. And what might be what I see as a need, someone else may not see as a need. I think there's some common things that are needs,
yep.
But especially wants. Because the natural person inside of us, man or woman, wants all the wants, right?
Everything, all they can have. Yeah.
And that insatiable appetite. And so trying to discern a little bit. And I think sometimes it just takes practice to go, is this a need? Is this a want?
But practice, which leads to clear understanding, right? So that the next time I come across a need versus a want, it's easy for me to discern.
Yeah.
So I think that's critical.
Yeah.
But it is clearly okay to have some wants in our budget.
Yeah.
As long as our needs are also met.
That's right. That's right.
Love that. Okay. So should we start talking about a budget here, Andy?
Yep.
What's number? Okay. Let's pretend it's the first of a month or the end of a month, and we're preparing for a new month. Maybe we're preparing for November.
Yeah.
And we've got our check that came in exactly on the day we need it. All right. So we've got some income. What do I do first?
So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is, well, let me back up for just a second. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because let's use some real numbers and we'll use them for an example of what it might be for a young adult, especially in college. Okay.
Great. Love that.
So let's say that they're working a job of 15 hours a week because they're part-time and they're going to school and they're getting paid about $15 an hour. So then they're going to make about $900 a month. But then after taxes is gone, let's just use for ease of addition, $800. So that's all they've got as far as their part-time job. Okay, $800.
That sounds great.
Right?
Yeah.
So you go, oh, I got $800. Now that's my income. Now I may have other sources of income. Maybe there's, maybe you have to use from your loan, or you've got a family member that's helping with college or something like that. But to be conscientious on that number, not just a free for all, whatever, right? But that's kind of hard for a young adult to go, well, I don't know how much should I take from my, if it's a Pell Grant or whatever, do I just take all of it and then I just have free reign, or how do I know what to take from that?
And if I do that, I know what the outcome is going to be.
Right. So if we just start with that's income, and maybe let's circle back after we look at some of our expenses to how much do I take out of my
loan.
Yeah. Yeah, because they really won't know yet.
If I don't need to take from my loan, then all the better.
Right, exactly. So we use $800 and then we say, okay, let's look first at needs, some of the clear needs. And so obviously you and I both feel strong about this, but the first thing we're going to do is pay our tithing.
First thing.
Tithes and offerings.
Tithes and offerings. And I think it's important for young adults to know that they can pay offerings, fast offerings.
That's right.
In fact, I think the For Strength of Youth pamphlet talks about the need for paying fast offerings, even for young adults.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So if we go, I don't know, $90, $100, some whatever. I mean, we're not here to tell the person what that is, other than 10%, obviously, for the tithing, but not on offerings. But just to use as a number.
Yep. Let's use 100 for both.
Okay, 100 for each.
So that leaves us already with $700.
Yep. Okay. Now we look at the most important needs, right? We're going to have food. We're going to have transportation. We're going to have shelter.
And utilities.
Yeah, exactly. So a typical young adult, I got a number about $250 for food. What do you think? Is that?
That sounds like they're eating well. I'll take it.
Maybe that includes like dining out.
Yeah.
Or something,
well, that includes getting food out of the celestial vending machines at the Institute. So there we go.
True.
All right. $250 for food.
$250. Okay.
We're probably going to get comments on this, and people are going to say it's not enough.
That's not enough. Yeah. But again, and some of that's a great point though that you make out right there, Ryan, because a budget is individualized in a way.
Yes.
So part of it is after I've done it long enough, then I can get it done. And you and I have both worked with a ton of clients, right? We've coached them. And so to help them, and it's different for each person, right? Especially like that on food.
Right.
Trying to help them figure out what their number, and it just takes some time.
It takes a few months to figure that out.
Yeah.
Totally okay.
So if I'm a young adult, I'm going, I might start with this number, but then I might adjust it after a month or two.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And we're talking about single adult here, right?
Yeah.
Just one person taking care of himself. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's food. We got tithing. We got food. What do we got next?
So shelter.
So
rent.
And this one could be tricky because they may pay by the semester or by the month, but we'll come back to the semester in a minute. So let's just start with by the month.
I don't know what a college student pays these days, but let's just assume
I got 3 kids that are in college or that just to finish. So I got about $600.
$600.
Right. Depending on where they're staying, right?
Yes.
Or they're at like SUU may be cheaper than UVU.
Maybe so.
Some of those things like that. So if we were to say $500-$600,
there's not much left after that, Andy. We might be in trouble.
There it's gone already.
All right. So sticking with 6 on that one.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Either way,
$600.
maybe that gives them their own bathroom.
Oh, yeah,
If they
private
do-
room with a
if they
bath.
do 400, they can share a room with someone.
And
Perfect.
maybe that includes the utilities and the internet and all of the important essentials there.
Great point. Great point. Everyone's a little bit different.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So we got food, we got shelter,
Transportation.
transportation. So let's hope that they don't have a car payment, but most of them probably might
Yep.
because it's their first needed car. So
Let's pretend that they purchased a car that was old, like cars I drive.
Yeah.
And their car payment then is probably, I don't know, $100.
yep, let's go
Okay.
$100. 100, maybe 150, depending on where they go. But $100 is great. Just for ease, this is just an example of what we're walking through today. So now
Sounds
we've
great.
got that, but we're also going to have gas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so about depending on where you live on that one, probably another $150 a month, depending on where they're going, where they work. It could vary.
Let's pretend in this scenario, they live right next to the university
Awesome.
and they work on campus.
Oh,
How about
sweet.
that?
And they're not going home every weekend.
That's right. They go home
Love
for
it.
Christmas and Easter.
All right.
All right.
So what do you want there? Is that what, $50?
Maybe $50.
$50
They got to
a
go to
month.
Walmart every once in a while.
Yep. Okay. Now they're going to have some other stuff, right? They're going to have to pay for a phone. If they've got a phone, they got a phone bill. Depending on what plan they're at, it could be $25 a month. It could be $40 a month.
I've seen higher.
Yeah, yeah. Or some of them might even be borrowing money for their phone itself,
That's so true.
and they might see that as a need instead of a want. But So just for ease of addition, let's go conservative.
25?
25.
25. Okay, their phone's paid for and they have a very
Love it.
cheap plan.
Love it. Yep, they're trying to go bare boned on that. Insurance for their car.
Insurance for their
that's
car.
one in the last few years that have really gone through the roof too. So
Now, but if they're underage, aren't they still potentially?
well,
that's
their health insurance will be
Yeah.
covered. And
Car
colleges
insurance.
normally have really good plans for their health insurance, but a car insurance won't.
Okay, so
And
if it's an
so-
old car like mine,
Yep.
maybe they can get away with something.
And they don't have any tickets. They
all-
don't have any accidents.
Yeah, and they're just paying for the minimum amount here.
Yeah.
Maybe even a good student discount if that's still offered in college. I don't know.
I don't know. It's got to be anywhere between 50, 75 a month
Probably
just
so.
for auto insurance. Yeah.
So you want to go 50?
No, let's go 75 to be
75, all
safe
right.
on that one. They may have some subscriptions. If they're watching Netflix, if they're watching Amazon Prime, if they're on Prime, they got a student discount, but they still, and this might be where we start go, what are wants versus needs?
Right. And
Right.
if I'm looking at what we're spending already, there's not a lot of room for some wants.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. Because we haven't even talked about any kind of miscellaneous money or fun money or date money.
That's critical.
Yeah. We need to put that in
Okay,
there.
skip Netflix. Let's
That's
go
right.
with date.
Date money.
Now, this is going to sound terrible, but my wife and I, we don't budget a lot for date money because we try to do as many free and frugal things as we possibly can.
Oh, and that's a high priority for Marjan and I is our date money. She's like, I've been cooking all week. I want a break.
That's awesome. So we might have to find a balance here. So my date fund really it's $20 a month.
What?
It's true.
Okay. All right.
What's yours?
Well, if we go, I think we're 150.
Oh, that's
a month
amazing.
right now.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that.
But we have, so if I'm a young adult
Yes.
and we're in that, so let's go a happy medium. Should we say $50?
Let's go $50. I'm okay with that.
$50.
Now, this means, students, if you're listening to us, we are encouraging dating. So please spend the money, go on dates.
Yep.
We believe in eternal families.
And there's lots of great resources out there. Like you say, try to find things that are
Loads.
free. There's tons of like 100 and whatever ways to have creative dates that don't cost money. So this might be more of those few times where you need to spend some money or you're dating someone and you want to impress them a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are other ways to impress them besides money. However,
Yes,
sometimes
yes,
you
yes.
do have to go above and beyond.
Okay. What about like miscellaneous? Because stuff's going to come up. Haven't you found that? You just need some kind of category
Yes.
that's a miscellaneous.
Yes, whether that be some school supplies
Yeah.
or whether that be some medicine or some toiletries. I mean, you're going to have to,
Or a Maverick run.
some days you're going to have to go to Maverick and get that burrito. Yes. So how much are we going to put in that one?
That's a good question. That's such a fluctuating one, right?
Totally. And sometimes it fluctuates from month to month.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's actually a really good point. When I'm looking at a month, like for example, as we're approaching holiday or something like that, or a birthday, or I know I'm going to be going home or something, if I'm a young adult, to be thinking ahead to go, am I going to spend some extra money on something?
Yep.
Because of that, which might adjust my miscellaneous each month. That's actually a great insight.
So we better stick with something fairly conservative there as well.
For a young adult,
Yep.
well, I got $100, but that might be extravagant. I see
Now
the
that
look on your face.
Date budget.
Your
fund.
date budget. I would go for a young adult. They might need. Here's maybe let's talk about this for a second. What have you noticed in working with different people? Some are different than others.
Yeah.
Like for example, some can go hardcore and be okay with it. Others, I need a little breather or I won't stay the course. Kind of like if you're trying to eat healthy. There's some people who like, oh, I can eat healthy all day long.
Right.
And others, I need a break on one day. I need a free day. I need a cheat meal. I need something. So maybe the miscellaneous for a person might be a little bit different person to person.
Correct. In fact, I'll give you an example. For me, the more I can have my budget planned out, by specific categories, the more detailed it is for me, the smaller my miscellaneous budget is. But there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm not going to plan that out. I'll just throw it all in my miscellaneous. So it's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah, great point. All right. So what number did you put there?
I'm thinking 50.
$50. Okay.
And hopefully they don't have to use it.
Are we missing any other categories?
So
Talking just young adult.
now that depends, right? Because are these young adults planning for holidays? Are they planning for Christmas? Do they make trips to go home? Do they do they need to buy clothes on a regular basis? Maybe they need to buy clothes for work. Maybe they need steel-toed shoes, or maybe they need ties, or so it's gonna depend. But I think what we have here is a very generic, and you can apply this to a lot of people. I think we're okay with that.
So what if we pause right there and kind of go, those are our fixed expenses for almost every month.
Okay.
And then right there, and not that we need to add it all up, but we already know it's way past the $800 of our income.
Oh yeah, we're above and beyond.
Yeah. So if you're a math genius,
I'm not a math genius, that's for sure.
Add those numbers up, but let's just say that it comes to $1,500.
Well, actually, we're only about $1,200.
$1,200, sweet. So we're $400 off of because we have $800 that's coming in from our job.
Yep.
And now I'm $400 off. Where do I get that $400?
So there's about three things you can do here, in all honesty. You can either increase your income,
Okay, so I either got to get another job.
or a part-time job, or a side hustle, go donate plasma, whatever the case may be.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's college town. That's what
good.
we do,
That's
right?
good date money. You want extra money in the day?
go donate plasma.
plasma.
So we can increase our income. We can sell whatever we have that we don't need anymore. Say, okay, I'm not snowboarding anymore, so I'll sell that. Or maybe I'll sell my car and get a cheaper car, whatever the case may be. Or we can reduce our expenses. In all honesty, those are the three things we can do. When we look at our budget and our expenses are over our income, I think those are the three things that we can do, other than beg our parents for more money.
And I think this is a really good spot to pause and recognize this is a great place to pray and ask God for help. Because sometimes we don't think about praying over our budget, but to really go, God, help me to have eyes to see, help me to discern at what is my need, what is my want, and what's the right number there, because I don't make enough. And maybe we're talking about someone who they're at college and they're like, I don't have a snowboard, I don't have a ski pass, I don't have anything to sell, I don't have any other means, and I'm already maxed out with my part-time job, and I'm struggling even to keep my grades up so my scholarship can remain. But to not feel guilty if they need to take some money from their loan, but to actually pray about it and not just go in blindly.
Andy, I really believe that if a student or any one of us who looks at our budget with sincerity and with an earnest effort to do the best we can to live within our means, the Lord will help us. I really do. In fact, can I just read a verse really quick? Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
I think we've used this verse before in one of our episodes, but I love this. This is section 104 of the Doctrine and Covenants. And it says this in verse 14, I, the Lord, stretched out the heavens and built the earth, and my very handiwork, and all things therein are mine. And it is my purpose to provide for my saints, for all things are mine. but it must be done in mine own way. Behold, this is the way that I, the Lord, have decreed to provide for my saints, that the poor shall be exalted and the rich are made low. For the earth is full, and there is enough and to spare. And then he goes on and asks us to be agents, to be good stewards. So yes, we may be really tight on our means, on our funds, but if we'll include the Lord and trust those promises in those verses, he'll help provide a way to make our ends meet, to make it work.
Love that. It is a great reminder. I think also, too, I'm thinking of when Adam leaves the garden. He's leaving home where he's been provided for, and he was told by the sweat of his brow, he's going to have to work. And that this is a time period in a person's life where they're going to have to work, meaning they're working hard at school, they're working hard on their part-time jobs, even working hard at being a good steward with their finances.
Yep.
And they put in the work, and God's going to help provide for them.
And sometimes that work looks very different than what we had imagined.
Yeah.
Right? I can imagine some of the students here are coming to SUU thinking, oh, I'm just going to go to school and all my needs are being met. Not realizing that they're going to need a part-time job or 2 or 3. I know of a young lady who's a nursing student right now who's working several part-time jobs just to make ends meet. And it's hard, but yet it can happen. It's doable, and the Lord will provide. But that's different than what we may have imagined coming into this scenario.
Yeah. And the other part of that, if I do need to take some money from my loan, to be very purposeful about the amount I'm taking.
Yes.
Not just the free-for-all, right? So if I use this and I go, I'm $400 shy and I don't have any other means, then I'm going to go, okay, I need $400 from my loan.
Yep. Or for my grant,
Instead
or whatever the case may be.
$2,000 from my loan, and then I just spend my debit card on whatever.
Live however I want, right? That's the last thing we want to do. Okay. What else do we need to know here about this budget?
Well, I think now let's look at those like you brought up earlier, some of those irregular expenses. Like, how do I put money aside when I know tuition is coming and I've got to put aside $3,000 that I'm going to pay in, September or January? But I'm not, how do I do that each month? Or if I pay even my room or my rent.
Housing, yeah.
Housing, thank you. Yeah, or some of these other things that you brought up, like birthdays or clothing or stuff like that,
yes,
that are irregular expenses. How do I save for those? What do I do?
And
it's overwhelming, and sometimes you just want to go, forget about it.
Right. Makes total sense. So one thing we have to remember is when we do create a budget, like this is the plan for month to month, but we do have to make room for those irregularities. But if we can plan ahead, that's at least in my opinion, I think that's our best way to navigate this. So if you know that in January you have X amount of money that you have to pay for tuition, what I like to do when I have an expense like that is I say, okay, how many months do I have until that's due? So let's say it's, $3,000 in January, and I have, 3 months between now and then to save for that expense. Then I try in my budget to make room for $1,000 every month to go towards that tuition money.
So you put a budget line item that says tuition, and you're setting aside $1,000 that month.
Yep.
For that, even though it doesn't come out that month.
Correct.
Where do you put it? Because it's sure a temptation if it's in there to go, sweet, I've
got
more day money.
Yeah. So that's a great question. For me and my wife, we actually have an account where all the money sits, and that's just, it's not a slush fund. It's a, what do we call that? A sinking fund, or a collection of all of our sinking funds. Because we have a lot of expenses that come out at different times throughout the year that I won't just magically have extra money for. That has to be planned out. And so it's in a separate account that we don't touch.
That's a great point, because as a young adult, you're only going to have a handful of those, sinking funds. But as you get married and your family grows and all that, you're going to have more and more and more.
Loads.
And the principle applies for all of them.
Yes.
Okay. So keep going.
It's all just in there in the bank account. So it sits there. But what the beauty of this is,
do you put yours in a separate bank account?
It's all in our savings account, but it's not in our emergency fund account.
Okay, so it's separate than your emergency, but it's not in your day-to-day type of fund, like your checking, debit card, day-to-day stuff.
It's all in the same, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah. So Marjan and I have done different throughout years, where we'll separate it. I even had one time, and I'm just throwing this out as an idea, where I knew that it would be a temptation for me if it's sitting in the account. So I actually opened up a separate bank account at a whole different bank, and put it in there.
Oh, that's
You
awesome.
know, so it'd be like this with tuition going, okay, automatically withdraw the money out and go over to this other bank, $1,000 every month. And then it sits in that bank. That way, I couldn't, because if I knew I didn't have the self-discipline, I would just take it. So, you know, again, you have all yours in one.
Yep.
Ours are put up right now, at least in a separate savings account. But it might be like that where young adults going, I can't have that anywhere near me, so I'm going to stick it in a whole nother bank.
Yeah, I don't blame them one bit.
No, that's what I had.
Yeah, and I'll give you the challenge that some people might have with that, and I'm not saying one idea is better than the other, is they look at all the money and they're like, I can spend, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just tell people, hey, just look at your budget.
Yeah.
Your budget tells you what you can spend. And on those sinking funds, depending on the app you use, my sinking funds tally from month to month. And I can see that there should be X amount of money, $3,000 in January, that I can pull out from that account to pay for my tuition. And if I just look at my budget, it tells me what I can spend, not to look at the bank account, because the bank account is something different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And we already talked about this on a previous one, but since we're talking about budgeting today, you can use an Excel spreadsheet. You can write it down on a piece of paper. There's apps you use.
The EveryDollar app. Love that app.
It's free, or you can get the paid one if you want to download your transactions. Yes. But for a college kid, a young adult, the free one would be no problem.
For a 42-year-old, the free one is no problem. Exactly. That's what we use, is the free one.
But no matter what you use, to stick with it for a few months.
Yes.
Because even though we create the budget, that's just the beginning, right?
In fact, I would say the budget itself is just half of the equation. The other half is recording the expenses. Yeah. And so many people think, oh, I wrote down the budget. I've got how much I'm spending here, 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 and here. And then they don't look at that for a month or two or three. And they're like, oh, I think I'm following a budget. But the only way you can know if you're actually following the budget is if you do the other half, which is write the expenses down. Record them down either in the app or the Excel spreadsheet so you can actually see, did I follow what I said I was going to do?
Love that. And we need to do another podcast on sticking to the budget.
Yes,
because a budget, I used to think it's so rigid and it can't ever change. And then I realized, well, we're living and breathing people and life happens. And so to be able to adjust the budget on the fly is a really important skill for another day.
For another day.
Yeah.
Andy, this has been so good.
Love this.
I think we've got some great foundational pieces to understanding and using a budget. What other advice do we need to give to our listeners here?
Well, how long would you say it took you to figure out a budget that just it's dialed in and it's working for you?
The first time or the second time? It probably took my wife and I, using the app that we're using now, about 3 different attempts.
So 3 different months at least.
Well, I would even say we did
attempts.
So we did a couple of months and we were really good at it, and then we fell off the wagon. Then we tried it again. We're good for a longer period of time, and then we fell off. But this last time, the third attempt, it took us about 3 months to get it finally fine-tuned, right? To get it working and flowing the way we wanted. So we understood it, and it represented what we were doing. But it took us that 3 months to get it to that level.
So that's an important principle. I think every single person needs to really understand. It's going to take some time. So just don't quit. Don't give up. No matter how messy it is, just keep trying it, because the more you do it, the more you get it dialed in for what works for you. And then it becomes this powerful instrument that is a resource to help us use our agency to do good.
And I think, and we were talking about this earlier, Andy, I think people need to understand that the budget really is the foundational piece to all things financial, whether that be to get out of debt, whether that be to build wealth, whether that be to give. It really is the foundational piece. If you don't know what's happening in and out of your budget, if you don't know where your money's coming or go, you don't know those things, then that's where we start.
And you're wasting a lot of money.
Correct.
And you and I both seen it. It doesn't matter how much a person makes.
Yep.
Even when life starts going good for anybody and then they stop budgeting, money starts flying away.
Falls apart.
Yep.
And you'll get to the end of the month and you'll say, where did that go?
We're spending how much?
And your spouse says, what'd you do with that money?
Yeah.
So I love that.
I think that would just be my plea for these young adults, and that is just try it and keep trying it, and just don't quit, no matter how messy, because it will really bless their lives. Talk about, I mean, if I would have understood this better,
Oh my gosh.
right, at that young age,
Change the game.
yes.
Change the
just
game.
don't quit. Keep trying it.
And if you haven't started, now's the time. There's no time like the present. It's a new beginning, like we learned in conference. Just start. Sit down and make it work.
And if you get stuck somewhere as you're trying to create it, that's when you get on your knees and pray.
Yeah.
God will help.
He'll help you do this. He'll help you be a good steward of his resources. And we both have experienced this, and we both know that it's true. All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Have a great day.